Yugi versus Johnny Steps. During Yugi and Teia's date, a guy called Johnny Steps steps up on the pair. First, he challenges Teia to a duel of Dance Dance Revolution, and despite cheating, is soundly defeated. Teia retains her perfect win streak even off the dueling field. Later, he challenges Yugi to a duel, but ultimately surrenders as soon as he learns who Yugi is, aka the King of Games. However, that made me wonder, Johnny Steps is not a good duelist, but if the duel would have carried on, could he have won? Did Johnny Steps even have a chance against Yugi? And the even bigger question, hypothetically, if Teia Gardner was like, no Yugi, I fight my own battles, I'll challenge you to a duel, Johnny Steps, could she have beat him? Well, we won't know unless we jump into the duel and the hypothetical duel. Let's go. Real quick, this duel is before the Battle City rules are implemented, but it's after the Duelist Kingdom rules. It's in this grey area between the two, so the rules are as follows. Duelists have 2,000 life points. Tributes aren't required for high-level monsters. Neither player can attack directly. You can only attack with one monster per turn. If you end your turn without ever having a monster on your field, you lose the duel. Monsters destroyed by card effects inflict half their attack as damage to the owner. And the most important rule, there are no Dungeons and Dragons-esque shenanigans in this duel as well. So it was on Duelist Kingdom where the D&D stuff was involved, where if you attack the moon or if you wet the field, you can electrocute things or burn stuff and it burns the grass, whatever. That doesn't count here. It's just a proper duel, but with the Duelist Kingdom battle rules, essentially. So let's jump in. The duel begins and Johnny Steps goes first. He draws and his opening hand consists of Sonic Maid, Lady of Faith, Battle Warrior, Chorus of Sanctuary, Polymerization, and Metal Morph. Johnny summons his Sonic Maid into attack and ends his turn. It's Yugi's turn and he draws. His opening hand consists of Celtic Guardian and 5 mysterious cards. So these 5 cards, they don't matter in the duel. Basically, every card that Yugi's gonna play is something he top decks and just automatically uses or just holds on to a bit and uses it a little bit later. So they're not important, which goes to show how much in control Yugi was of this duel, and as well, how many more options he had at any point in the duel if he really needed to. However, for the sake of banter, let's say the rest of his hand also consists of Silver Fang, Griffor, Beaver Warrior, Feral Imp, and Mammoth Graveyard. He just never uses them, so why not? Yugi summons the strongest monster in his hand, the Celtic Guardian. He enters his battle phase and attacks and destroys Johnny's Sonic Maid. Johnny takes the first damage of the duel. Yugi ends his turn. It's back to Johnny Steps, and he draws Water Omatics. Since it has the same attack points as Yugi's Celtic Guardian, he summons it into attack as a form of defense. Johnny chooses not to crash it into Yugi's monster, and as such, ends his turn here. Just to quickly clarify, would Johnny Steps lose if he attacked into Yugi's monster here? Both were destroyed, but then Johnny's turn ends, he has no monster in his field. No, the way you lose in that ruling during this era of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is had he not summoned a monster, and he never had a monster on the field at all during that turn, and then ended his turn, he would have lost. Since he had a monster, and then it died, he wouldn't have lost due to that ruling. So there's no problem. Also, real quick, something that made me laugh during this duel is what Yugi says about Johnny Steps' deck. Yugi comments and says that he believes that Johnny is playing a fun tier deck, since his deck seems to be themed around musical related cards. It is revealed later to be an actual proper deck, but it just made me laugh that Yugi looked at it and was like, oh, we're not playing with our proper deck, so I probably shouldn't have brought my tier 0 Duelist Kingdom ultimate deck to this duel or something like that. But yeah, it turns out he is playing properly. It's just, you know, he has a theme in his deck anyway. Moving on. It's Yugi's turn and he draws another mysterious card. Let's say it's just Horn Imp. Yugi, unwilling to crash his Celtic Guardian into Johnny's Water Emotics, ends his turn here. Again, should Yugi have crashed his Celtic Guardian into Johnny's Water Emotics to get rid of it and then maybe just summon a different monster to replace it, he doesn't have another 1400 attack point monster in his hand to summon. So yeah, he could have, but since there's no benefit to it, that you can't attack directly, there's no real point to. So I think Yugi just sitting on this monster is fine. And for reference a little bit later, I'm going to talk about how flawed this era of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that you can't attack directly. It kind of warps the game and it just makes so much more sense when you can attack directly because games can become very wacky, which we'll find out a bit later. But for now, it's Johnny's turn and he draws Spirit of the Harp. He summons it into face-up defense and then activates Chorus of Sanctuary. This continuous spell increases the defense of every defense position monster on the field by 500. Spirit of the Harp's defense becomes an impressive 2500. Johnny ends his turn. Now, while I will say this is a very good play by Johnny, getting a monster with 2500 defense, for this era of Yu-Gi-Oh, Yugi is going to really struggle to get over this monster because there's not that many monsters he has out the gate to get over that. However, what he should have done is set that monster face down and hope that Yugi attacks into it with, say, Celtic Guardian, for example, and then obviously he would have done a lot of damage. Is it a misplay? Yes, it is. So first misplay of the duel, Johnny should have set that monster face down for the element of surprise. You could have done some damage. Oh well. And also, Johnny does state that he wishes he switched his water omotics into defense, but he misplays a little bit here. And yes, he should have done that, even though Yugi would just rolled over it with his Celtic Guardian anyway, but still. It's Yugi's turn, and he draws Curse of Dragon. He summons it to the field, since you don't need the tribute during this era of Yu-Gi-Oh, and then enters his battle phase and uses it to attack and destroy water omotics. It's destroyed, and Johnny takes more damage. Yugi ends his turn. It's Johnny's turn, and he draws Witch of the Black Forest. With all the pieces in place, Johnny goes for his big play. He summons Witch of the Black Forest to the field into defense and then activates Polymerization. He fuses Witch of the Black Forest on the field with the Lady of Faith in his hand to fusion summon, what else but the fusion of two ladies, Musician King. Now, because Witch of the Black Forest was sent from the field to the graveyard, I thought this was a good play by Johnny because now he has to add a card with 1500 or less defense from his deck straight to his hand. However, he never does. He never adds a card, and we never see him add one, so it's a bit of a misplay here. I don't quite understand why he never got to add a card. Maybe we can just chalk this up to Johnny not reading his cards again and misplaying, but regardless, Johnny orders his Musician King to attack and destroy Celtic Guardian. Johnny ends his turn by setting his Metal Morph trap face down. It's Yugi's turn, and he draws Giant Soldier of Stone. Yugi moves straight into his battle phase and orders Curse of Dragon to attack Musician King. In response, Johnny activates his set trap, Metal Morph, equipping it to Musician King. Aesthetically, Musician King transforms into Heavy Metal King. However, they are the same monster. Thanks to Metal Morph's effect, it increases the attack and defense of the equipped monster by 300. As well, whenever the equipped monster declares an attack, it gains half the attack of the monster it's attacking until the end of the damage step. Now, with a 2050 attack monster, Curse of Dragon is destroyed by the battle. Notice, by the way, how I had to add the life point change here? Well, that's because the animators are trying to hide the fact that Johnny Steps is going to make a misplay with Metal Morph later. You see, Johnny doesn't realize the big attack point boost doesn't work on defense. Yugi losing only 50 life points here instead of 1000 should have been the big giveaway, so he shouldn't have misplayed later. But he just, I guess, never noticed, so I'm just going to call it now. Big misplay Johnny Steps, you should have noticed. Yugi moves into his main phase 2 and summons his Giant Soldier of Stone into defense so that he doesn't lose the duel due to not summoning or having a monster on his field during the end of his turn. Yugi ends his turn. It's Johnny's turn, and the penultimate turn of the duel. He draws and gets a mysterious card. Johnny orders his Heavy Metal King to attack Giant Soldier of Stone. The effect of Metal Morph activates, increasing its attack by half the attack of Giant Soldier of Stone. It's destroyed. Heavy Metal King's attack returns to normal after the battle. Johnny ends his turn. It's Yugi's turn, and the final turn of the duel. He draws and gets Dark Magician. He summons it into attack. Yugi orders Dark Magician to attack Heavy Metal King. Johnny, under the impression that Yugi is a bad duelist and just didn't remember what his Metal Morph card can do, Yugi is actually the one to tell him he is mistaken and actually didn't read his own card properly. Yugi explains Metal Morph only boosts the attack of the monster it's equipped to when it's attacking, and not when it's being attacked. And so, Dark Magician destroys Heavy Metal King. Metal Morph, as a result, is also destroyed and sent to the grave. With 750 life points remaining, Johnny asks who Yugi is since he's able to read cards like a professional, and after realizing he's the king of games, just scoops the duel. I love how the fact that just a character just knows what a card does. He's like, wait, who are you? Oh, I'm the world champion Yu-Gi-Oh player. He's like, oh, I quit then. If the duel would have continued, how would it have gone? Well, Johnny has a 2500 attack Spirit of the Harp on the field, which is very impressive. Dark Magician can't attack over it. The problem comes after this, however. As soon as Yugi gets out a big enough monster to destroy that monster, the duel becomes an absolute slog. Because what would happen after this is Johnny can just keep setting monsters into defense constantly, and Yugi can just keep attacking, destroying them, but the duel will just keep on going until Johnny summons into attack and then gets attacked by a big monster and just loses due to life points, which if you're on the back foot and you don't have anything stronger than I assume what he's just done, you're just gonna be on the defensive for the rest of this turn. And you will just keep going forever because most people play a lot of monsters in this era of Yu-Gi-Oh! So, the duel becomes a bit of a slog. The only way that Yugi could win, despite Johnny defending non-stop, is by using a card like Stop Defense and then attacking into it with Dark Magician, or by destroying some of Johnny monsters with card effects. This would then deal half that monster's attack as damage and potentially win the duel that way. So with that in mind, there are a lot of ways that Yugi can win. I think it would have been a slog, but Yugi would have got the win eventually. He has better cards, better duelists, so yeah, Yugi would have won the duel. And to answer the question, could Johnny Steps have won this duel? No. No, he couldn't. However, I'm more intrigued to find out, could Taya have won this duel? Well, hypothetically, let's jump into that duel. Taya uses a hybrid deck using the majority of her Duelist Kingdom cards, some of her Virtual World cards, along with Yugioh from her Capsule Monster season. I know these things haven't happened yet, but I've got to give her a deck, and this is the deck I'm going to go with. And so, the duel begins and Johnny Steps goes first. He draws, and his opening hand consists of Sonic Maid, Lady of Faith, Battle Warrior, Chorus of Sanctuary, Polymerization, and Metal Morph. Johnny summons Sonic Maid into attack and ends his turn. It's Taya's turn, and she draws this random hand that I got, which consisted of Polymerization, Mystical Sheep number 1, Ancient Elf, Pot of Greed, Fairy's Gift, and Skell Angel. Taya immediately activates Polymerization, fusing her Ancient Elf and Mystical Sheep number 1, who has the effect to be treated as any fusion material, whom is currently standing in for Giant Soldier of Stone. She summons Mystical Sand. Following this, she wastes no time and activates Pot of Greed. Because Taya would never just not use a Pot of Greed straight away in a duel, right? Or even worse, just throw it away later in a duel. She would never do that, right? Anyway, Pot of Greed allows her to draw 2 new cards. She gets D-Spell and Magician of Faith. She sets Magician of Faith face down and then enters her battle phase and attacks and destroys Johnny's Sonic Maid. Johnny takes the first damage of the duel. Taya ends her turn. It's back to Johnny and he draws Water Emotics. Johnny on the back foot is forced to play defensive. He summons his Water Emotics into defense and ends his turn. It's back to Taya and she draws Elf's Light. Taya flip summons her Magician of Faith. Due to its flip effect, she can add any spell in her grave back to her hand. She adds back Pot of Greed. She activates it and draws 2 new cards. She gets Mystical Space Typhoon and Mahavilo. She sets Mystical Space Typhoon and then summons Mahavilo to the field into attack. She equips it with Elf's Light to increase its attack by 500. Due to Mahavilo's effect, when equipped with a card, it gains a further 500 attack. Taya enters her battle phase and attacks Water Emotics with Sand Witch. She ends her turn. It's Johnny's turn, and he draws Spirit of the Harp. Johnny summons it to the field into defense and then activates his field spell, Chorus of the Sanctuary. This increases all his monsters' defense by 500. Now, with a 2500 defense wall, none of Taya's monsters are able to attack over it. Satisfied, Johnny sets his Metal Morph trap face down and ends his turn. It's Taya's turn, and she draws Petite Angel. Taya immediately dismantles Johnny's board by activating D-Spell, destroying his field spell. She then uses Mystical Space Typhoon to destroy his set trap, Metal Morph. Taya sets Skell Angel face down and then switches Magician of Faith into defense. She attacks and destroys Spirit of the Harp with Mahavilo. Taya ends her turn. It's Johnny's turn, and he draws Witch of the Black Forest. Johnny, feeling frustrated he's losing to Taya in both Dance Dance Revolution and Duel Monsters, activates Polymerization, using his Witch of the Black Forest and Lady of Faith together to summon Musician King. Musician King attacks and destroys Taya's Magician of Faith. Witch of the Black Forest effect didn't activate because it wasn't summoned to the field first, and also because I forgot. It's Taya's turn, and she draws her second copy of D-Spell. She flip summons Skell Angel and draws a card thanks to its flip effect. She gets the Unhappy Maiden. She attacks and destroys Musician King with Mahavilo and then ends her turn. And now from this point onward, here comes the problems with Season 1 not being able to attack directly in a duel. It's Johnny's turn, and he draws Sangan. He sets it face down and ends his turn. It's Taya's turn, and she draws Mystical Sheep number 2. She switches Skell Angel into defense and then attacks Johnny's set monster. It's destroyed, Sangan's effect activates, letting him add a monster from his deck to his hand. He adds Spirit of the Harp. Taya ends her turn. It's Johnny's turn, and he draws another copy of Sangan. He sets it face down and ends his turn. It's Taya's turn, and she draws her boss monster, Yugioh. She summons it into attack and uses it to destroy Johnny's set monster. Sangan is destroyed, again adding another monster to his hand, this time Witch of the Black Forest. Taya ends her turn. It's Johnny's turn, and he draws his second copy of Chorus of Sanctuary. Seeing Taya's highest attack monster is 2500, he sets his Spirit of the Harp face down and then activates Chorus of Sanctuary, hoping for some surprise defense. However, it's back to Taya, and she draws Waboku. Having none of what Johnny is doing, she uses her second copy of D-Spell on Chorus, destroying it. She then attacks and destroys Spirit of the Harp. She ends her turn by setting Waboku face down. It's Johnny's turn, and he draws his second Metal Morph. He sets it face down along with Witch of the Black Forest and ends his turn. It's Taya's turn, and she draws Mirror Force. She sets it face down and then attacks and destroys Johnny's set Witch of the Black Forest. He adds Head Huntress to his hand thanks to its effect. Taya ends her turn. It's Johnny's turn, and he draws Dancing Elf. With the pieces in place, he summons his beautiful Head Huntress to the field and enters his battle phase. He activates Metal Morph to transform it into Metal Head Huntress, hoping to go on the attack and have ultimate defense. However, unbeknownst to Johnny, Taya reveals there will be no next turn. As Johnny attacks her boss monster Sayaryu, she flips up her Mirror Force trap, which destroys all attack position monsters the opponent controls. Due to Duelist Kingdom rules, monsters destroyed by card effects deal half their attacker's damage to their owner, so Johnny Steps takes 950 damage with 0 life points left. Taya wins the duel. Full disclosure, I think I made Taya's deck a little bit too stacked for this era. I think Mirror Force she probably shouldn't have had. That was just probably a virtual world thing she was like allowed to have and things like that. I think some of the others were quite fine. I gave her 2 Mystical Space Typhoons and 2 D-Spells. The fact that she plays like back row removal is what actually makes Taya's deck so powerful, which is kind of why her deck is so good compared to a lot of other characters. Like Yugi and everybody have like specific cards to do with specific situations, but Taya's kind of like a toolbox of just dealing with generic stuff, which is really good. Regardless, what this has taught me is Taya is still undefeated in my books, and 2, Season 1 duels, when I get around to doing them, are going to be an absolute slog because people could just keep summoning things into defense infinitely until they run out of monsters, cards in their deck, or we can finally switch them into attacks. So with that, that is a quick and easy duel analysis done. Guess what? There's going to be another one next week. This was meant to be done for Monday. Because I just went on a stag and I was supposed to get it done in time, but I didn't get it done in time. So you're going to get another duel analysis next week. So if you like these videos, don't forget to subscribe. Check out the Patreon if you want to vote for the next duel analysis or see your name in the credits, which should be appearing right here, right now. But other than that, thank you all for watching. Catch you later. Bye, everyone.